We are now very pleased to introduce Zahra Mesbah, which will talk about saving your life and risking to live it. Zahra Mesbah is a 22-year-old girl from Mazar al-Sharif in Afghanistan. Zahra's family had to escape Afghanistan after her father, who was a politician, was assassinated. The family immigrated to Iran in 1997, but conditions there were very difficult for Afghans, especially Afghan women. In October 2012, Zahra's family was invited by UN to Iceland as a refugee, and now she is a student of dentistry at the University of Iceland. Please, Zahra Mesbah.
Participants, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start by thanking you all for giving me this opportunity to attend this conference and describe my life, which is very similar to the life of other refugees. I am from Afghanistan, a country with more than 5 decades of war. The childhood of my land's children has been sacrificed for politics and war. All they know is being afraid and being ready to lose their loved ones or their own life. When I was only 3 years old, I lost my father, who was a politician, and one of my brothers within only 6 months. Then my family had to escape Afghanistan to save other members and immigrated to Iran. Now immigration is again increasing in the current situation in Afghanistan due to the Taliban's reappearance and their attacks, in addition to poverty and lack of basic facilities. This situation of course, divides ordinary Afghans into 2 groups. The first one is people who don't have the possibility to immigrate and have to live there with the fear of losing their life and their family, like we saw recently in the Taliban's attack in Kunduz, where many people were killed and women and girls were raped. This outcome is even more horrible for women, because some of them lose their life at the hands of their own family, who are afraid the Taliban would rape the woman in front of them. The second group gets ready to leave their identity, relatives, birthplace, and country to find a safe and secure place. Many of them immigrate to Iran, a country with the same language and religion, but what they face there is unlike what they imagine. By saving their lives in Iran, they lose all their rights and freedom as a human. Afghan children grow up there without identity and are looked down on everywhere for the sin of being Afghan. This experience defines the person, but being insulted everywhere for the sin of being Afghan kills their personality. Their spirit slowly dies. They become like bodies which are physically alive but don't have an inner life. It's the feeling that I had there myself. I said that I'm from Afghanistan, but actually I was born in Iran. And from a legal standpoint, I should say I'm from Iran. But Afghans like me, who were born there, grow up with Iranian culture, accent, and tradition, and even have parents who were also born there. We are always a stranger in their view. At the same time, we also don't know much of Afghanistan. We have lived there without identity our whole life. Living in Iran makes the wishes and dreams of Afghans very small, in a way that maybe their wishes seem very strange and funny for ordinary people. Things taken for granted, like receiving an examination certificate after exams, which Afghans cannot get, or going to university, driving, and many, many other small wishes. One of the most important ways to help immigrants to go back to their country, to build it and its future, is education. How can we expect Afghan youth to do it when the right of education has taken from them, or they have to pay too much for it, which is not possible in their financial situation there? Only a few % of Afghan youth have high education in Iran, so how can we be hopeful for immigrants to return and make a better future for Afghanistan? I had a very difficult life in Iran, and losing my loved ones was my most bitter experience there. I lost my 2 older brothers there, and after them, my sister and our mother and I were alone and had no opportunity to make our life better. First because of our gender as a female, and then because of our nationality. In this current situation, immigrants in Iran have only 3 choices. The first choice is to continue their difficult life in Iran, which can save them from physical death, but only if they can afford to pay for extension of their residence each 6 months. The second is to go back to Afghanistan, which is like a death sentence, especially for the Hazara minority who are threatened by other ethnic groups. Or they can choose the third way, which means putting their lives and their children's lives in danger, crossing the border to reach a secure place to live and have a better future. Keeping in mind statistics of how many die on the way, people may think it's a foolish choice to depart on such a dangerous journey, but this brave act is only choice that they have. The fact that so many people take this journey, which is the chance of survival, is only about 50%, suggests the situation they are living is a very difficult one. Fortunately, my family was very lucky that we could come safely to Iceland through the UN in October 2012. Finally, my sister and I could have our rights as a human, which had been taken from us, and we started to continue our education with enthusiasm and have made some of our small wishes come true. I finished college here, and currently I'm a student at the University of Iceland, and my sister is studying in college. Several times recently, we saw in the media that dozens of refugees drowned, dozens suffocated in trucks. In the past months, an Afghan mother and 2 young Afghans were killed by the soldiers at the border. Of course, the deaths of people affect us, but how would we feel if they were our close relatives? Families are separated at the borders and maybe never reunite. Many of these refugees are arrested by soldiers at the borders, and they put conditions in force for them, sent back to Afghanistan, or in return to accepting some money and residence permanent for their family, are sent to Syria to kill innocent people and increase the number of Syrian refugees, which has become a crisis. Some of refugees who have passed the dangers and arrived in Europe have to struggle to survive even outside of Iran and Afghanistan. The new policy of Nordic countries has to have the new policy which Nordic countries have is to categorize refugees by country, and those from Syria have priority. But keep in mind that before any nationality, we are all human. And the worth of the life of a person of any nationality is the same. The child who was killed last month in Kunduz is no different from the Syrian child who was found on the coast of Turkey. Both of them were innocent and victims of war. How can people who have felt and experienced the closeness of death every moment of their journey accept deportation because their case is considered unacceptable? Nobody likes to leave their motherland and life and go to a completely different country if they don't have to. I have also some recommendation that I have talked to some refugees in European camps. They were told that they have waited and can do nothing for a long time waiting for a response to their immigration request. I think it would be very helpful both for them and the government if they could have permission to work. This could both help them be economically independent and contribute to the economy of their host country. Or if volunteers who want to help could teach refugees, for instance, of language or personal hygiene. At the end, I would like to say that we know the children and teenagers are the only hope that humanity has in our current critical stage to change its destiny. They will be the citizens, leaders, and healers of the future. By paying attention and encouraging refugee children to get an education and teaching them correctly, we can expect them to rebuild their countries and help peace and unity to become a reality. Otherwise, the face of our world will always be bloody. Thank you.